This is New Testament, Matthew chapter number 30. The greatest person speaks to their audiences in a very simple language. But those who are not great, those who are mediocre, those who are imposter, they use parables. They use such language which is not very much explicit, rather the meaning is hidden. So in this chapter we will see that Jesus is doing the same thing. He's starting with an example of a farmer. Jesus went out of his house and sat by the lake. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat in it, while all the people stood in the store on the shore. Then he told them many things in parables, saying, A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow, but when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seeds fell on good soil, where it produced a crop which is 100, 60 or 30 times than what was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear. He wants to say that the seeds which is falling on good soil will give good dividends. Later he is going to explain all these things, so I am not going to explain all these things here. The disciples came to him and asked, Why do you speak to people in parables? He replied, Because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. That means you disciples, you have the wisdom to understand whatever I am telling you directly. But for common people, he is using parables so that with an example they can understand. But it can be other way around also, because if you use parables, it is very difficult for the common people to understand sometimes, because they are unable to correlate. Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, and what they have will be taken out from him. That means he's talking to his disciples. He's telling that you disciples, you have the wisdom to know me, what I am and what I am teaching, but not all the people like that. But you will get the reward, but not all. This is why I speak the common people in parables. Though seeing they do not see, though hearing they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. You will be ever hearing but never understanding. You will be ever seeing but never perceiving. For this people's heart has become calloused. People's heart is become feelingless. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I tell you, many prophets and righteous people long to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. So he's telling to his disciples that you are very lucky that you are in my age and you are following me. You are even better than all previous prophets. Listen then to what the parables of the sower means. Now he is explaining what he is given the example in the beginning of the farmer who is sowing his seed. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The seed falling in the rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of his life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. But the seed falling in the good soil refers to someone who hears the words and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop yielding 100, 60 or 30 times what was sown. The parable of the weeds. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seeds in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, Then the weeds also appear. The owner's servant came to him and said, Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from? An enemy did this, he replied. The servants asked him, Do you want us to go and pull them out? No, he answered, because while you are pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, First collect the weeds and tie them in the bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring it to my barn. The parables of the mustard seed in the east. He told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. He is telling that a seed may be as small as a mustard seed, but it may grow up to become a very big tree. Similarly, if you believe me, and if you do even a one small good deed, then it will give you larger dividends. He told them still another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that woman took and mixed it to about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough. Jesus spoke all these things to the crowd in parables. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. So was fulfilled what was spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the creation of the world. The parable of the weeds explained. Now he is explaining the parable of the weeds. Then he left the crowd and went into the house. His disciples came to him and said, Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field. He answered, The one who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the word, and the good seed stands for the people of the kingdom. The weeds are the people of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are the angels. As the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears, let them hear. So he is cursing those peoples who don't follow his precepts. So these all peoples will be thrown into the fire and they will burn there and they will frustrate, but they will not be able to come out of that. So we are being told that Jesus Christ is a very benevolent God, is very merciful, he is very forgiving, but here what he is doing we can see. The parables of the hidden treasure and the pearl. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in the field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of the great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. He means to say that once you find me, once you find the presence of God in me, then it is your duty that you forget and forsake everything. You forget your parents, you forget your wealth, and come behind me. The parable of the net. Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up on the shore. Then they sat down and collected the good fish in baskets, but threw the bad away. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Again, he is cursing the wicked one. He is not having any mercy for the wicked people. He is not using a divine prowess to eradicate, to acquit them of their wickedness. Rather, he is just promulgating plans for giving them punishment. So he is telling that he is in the beginning he is telling that fish, you can catch the fish and the bad fish will be thrown away, good fish will be taken away. It means the mercy of Jesus is limited to human being. Among the human being, it is limited to those who are following him. Those who don't follow, they will be blown into the fire and they will be burned. The humanity of Jesus is not stretching, is not extending to encompass the animal kingdom, the kingdom of birds, the kingdom of fishes. He don't mind eating the fishes. That shows that he was non-vegetarian who loves eating the fish. Life of fish is not important for him. Have you understood all these things? Jesus asked. Yes, they replied. He said to them, therefore, every teacher of the law who has become a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out his storeroom new treasures as well as old. Prophet without honor. When Jesus had finished these parables, he moved on from there. Coming to his hometown, he began teaching the people in their synagogue, and they were amazed. Where did this man get this wisdom and these miracles power? They asked. Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother's name Mary? And are not his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Are not all his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all these things? And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor, except in his own town and in his own home. And he did not do many miracles there because of their lack of faith. This is very surprising. He is not doing miracles because people don't believe it. But if you do miracles, for example, if you are converting a glass of water into a wine, why people won't believe? People will believe. If you are curing a sick person, why people won't believe? They will believe. If you are resurrecting a dead, definitely people will believe when they will see. But here you are not doing it because people of your hometown know what you are and from where you come. So in this also we see that there is a reference where we see that his brothers were James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas. 4 brothers, and there are some sisters also who are not mentioned here. So these are the brothers of Jesus Christ from Joseph, and the union of Mary bring forth James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas. Jesus was already born before birth. The Mary was impregnated by perhaps the same Magi priest who came after his birth. So in this chapter we see how selfish the Jesus was and how hypocrite he was, using parables, not using simple languages, giving them an impression that he is a very intelligent person, and then not doing any miracles in his hometown because he was afraid that he will be caught. It is not the miracles, but it is simply a magic. And all those people whom he has healed from sickness, whom he has resurrected from death, were all fake person, were all his own companions who to show to the public that he is a real Messiah, he is a real Son of God. This all drama was done.